Now I appear for the interveners in 171690.
Could you repeat that, Mr. Jethmalani?
Not I number 171690 in in the lead petitions. In the lead petitions, I am the intervener. One of my clients
in 1047.
Yes, in 1037.
1037.
Well, my clients basically are members of the Gujjar Bakarwal community in Jammu and Kashmir. They're members of a scheduled tribe. And they constitute 73.25% of the total scheduled tribe population of Jammu and Kashmir.
73.25%.
73.25%. But of course, we strongly support the amendments for the reason that the provisions in the Constitution pertaining to scheduled tribes, 330, etc., were never applied.
But Mr. Jethmalani, your knowledge is theoretical unless you can state with certainty before us that you have driven around in Ladakh. Have you been?
I've been to Ladakh. I have been to Ladakh. But Manoj, many years ago, many years ago, Manoj, in the days when houseboats used to flourish, in those days, Manoj. And they've come back now.
Houseboats are not there in Ladakh. I have not seen a houseboat in Ladakh.
No, houseboat in Srinagar and then from there on. Why don't you go there? I'm told a lot of people go there now. It's go there and take a look for yourself. Empirical evidence will stare you in the face. The Himalayan car rally, which used to take place then in the former days, has now been revived. But my daughter's scheduled to go soon to Leh and Ladakh in that Himalayan car rally. So they're taking a sports car themselves and traveling up. She and her friends.
Justice Variava used to participate.
Yes, yes, what is right, Justice Variava. But all affirmations from the reaffirmations from the other side about the congenial climate that now takes place in Jammu and Kashmir. But my clients are restricting themselves to the challenge to 373 and the proviso thereto, as also to the amendment to 367 brought about by CO 272. I'm not going into the question of 356 and the territorial reorganization. That's beyond tribal folk. And 356 really deals with the satisfaction of the president and the governor's report and so on. Matters which are best dealt with by the government. So I'm not going into that. I'm going to these two questions only.
So you're going to go into 373?
370, the proviso.
And
367 amendment, which replaced by CO 272, dated 5th August 2019, which substituted the word Constituent Assembly with the word Legislative Assembly. Incidentally, I might just mention that my clients are the beneficiaries subsequent to 5th August 2019.
Actually, you're very helpfully identified the 4 key areas in the case
Yes.
on which the case turns. 1, 370 itself, and the proviso to 370 bracket 3. 2, the use of the amending power under 367. 3, the reorganization. And 4, 356.
Those are really the 4 issues which arise in this.
4 areas, I would say, for the issues which arise from.
So with regard to the latter 2, I'm adopting the arguments of the state, of the government.
All right, how would you formulate yours so that then we
Yes.
can...
Now, I've submitted written submissions
Yes, we have got that.
2 days ago. Yes, sir. But I briefly on the question of sovereignty, where does sovereignty lie? Because it then dovetails into the question, which are the subject matter of the 2 issues I'm going to deal with. Just a brief overview about the sovereignty question. And I divide it, sovereignty can be looked at in various different ways. There are many divisions, external, internal, political, legal. But I'm going to just talk about the political and legal sovereignty very briefly, these 2 issues. And as far as political sovereignty is concerned, there is no doubt that the other side has not even seriously challenged its political sovereignty rests with the Union. And the clearest indication of that is the preamble.
Union.
Political sovereignty rests with the Union. Qua the state. And a simple look at the preamble, my lord, would indicate that. The preamble of the 2, the Union and the federating unit of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, would reveal that. A point noted by Justice Nariman in the State Bank of India case. I mean, we'll kindly have a look first at our preamble very quickly. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, the word sovereign is key, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Now, in contrast, the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir has the following preamble. We, the people of state of Jammu and Kashmir, having solemnly resolved in pursuance of accession of this state to India, which took place on 26th October 1947, to further define the existing relationship of the state with the Union of India as an integral part thereof. So now the preamble itself makes no mention of sovereignty. In fact, the preamble is dealt with further defining the existing relationship of the state with the Union as an integral part thereof. So it's an acknowledgement of the Union's sovereignty over the state. This is political sovereignty. The Constitution was geared towards defining the relationship of Jammu and Kashmir for the Union as an integral part of the Union.
Yes.
And first and foremost, the permanent residents of the state of Jammu and Kashmir are citizens of India. Although Mr. Lord may sometimes behave that he's not, but in fact he is. Now I come to the question of legislation. Legislative sovereignty is divided between the Union and the state. And on a look at Article 370, which is the governing article of the relationship between the union and the state. Matters in the concurrent and union list acceded to by the then Maharaja are within the realm of the center, the union. And broadly speaking, the other parts of the constitution are within the jurisdiction of the state. And
But therefore, the sequitur of your argument would be that matters which do not form part of the instrument of accession in relation to which the union was given exclusive control, the
Yes.
4 matters,
yes,
the legislative sovereignty would therefore continue to vest with the Jammu and
continue to
Kashmir
vest,
Legislative Assembly.
subject to the power of the president to apply the provisions of the constitution under B 1 and 2, but with the concurrence or the consultation of the state. So any provision, theoretically speaking, if those qualifications arise, if that concurrence or that consultation takes place, then the entire constitution can be applied to the state of Jammu and Kashmir under 371. 373 is distinct from 371 because it's at a one stroke abrogation of the entire Article 370.
Therefore, Mr. Jethmalani, you therefore also necessarily accept that there is a concept, sovereignty has 2 connotations.
Yes.
One, external sovereignty,
Yes,
which undoubtedly vests completely with the Union of India. Internal sovereignty, which is then distributed between the Union and the states.
yes, yes. That's a patent look at that. Nobody can deny that. But the Constitution envisages that from time to time, further and further, and that's been the, as has been pointed out repeatedly during the course of these arguments, that with the passage of time from 1950 onwards, more and more provisions of the Constitution have been made applicable. And some of them are those which were not originally applicable to the legislative or within the legislative jurisdiction of the center. But ultimate legal sovereignty rests with the union. And though that is Article 373. Article 370, sub-article 3 is indicative of the fact that ultimate legal sovereignty, in the sense that you can get rid of the tunnel altogether that connects the union with the state legally and constitutionally. Ultimate legal sovereignty rests with the Union of India